Hello everyone and welcome back. My name's dustinkreis and I may have just played my second favorite survival horror series ever, and that is Alan Wake. I'm a huge Silent Hill fan. I don't think anything will ever overtake the original trilogy of Silent Hill in my book, but man, this thing comes a close second. What can I say? I love Alan Wake, and I cannot wait for the eventual sequels. Now, that being said, I have completed this game. I completed the 2 special episodes. I have not started American Nightmare, which I think it's its own thing, so I think I'm going to give it its own game discussion. So whenever I get around to playing that, I'll do a game discussion on that as well. But I can't wait for however they're going to do the sequel. I've kind of read some ideas that they have for it, and I'm really excited to see that happen. But man, just from the get-go of this game, I was just like enjoying the hell out of it. And yes, I got to some frustrating aspects of it. We'll talk about that when I get to the gameplay. But from just a story standpoint, I love this game. I love everything about this game, and I will show you exactly why I love everything about this game. Twin Peaks. This game references Twin Peaks so heavily that it's just like, you know, every time I go around a corner, I'm almost finding a reference, you know, from the diner and from Rose wearing almost the same outfit as the people in the diner in Twin Peaks. I mean, the diner itself is a carbon copy of that diner. The police station, carbon copy of the police station. Sarah Breaker alluding to the fact that she has this like secret society thing that she's in is also a reference to Twin Peaks. The lamp lady with carrying around the lamp. It's a thing with the log lady from Twin Peaks. I mean, there's really just so much references to not only Twin Peaks but also like Stephen King movies and books, and various other thrillers, The Shining, things like that. Just fantastic from a story standpoint. Fantastic game. And what the story is, Alan Wake is a writer, and he has recently killed off the main character of his big famous book series to try to move on to something new. And in doing this, he's given himself horrible writer's block. He just does not know where to go from here. So he and his wife Alice decide to take a vacation to the town of Bright Falls, and just to kind of get your mind off things. It's a relaxing, quiet little town. But his wife has kind of ulterior motives. She brought a typewriter and paper, hoping that this town will jumpstart Alan into writing a new book. And from there, they go to this mysterious cabin, which they weren't supposed to go to, and basically they get captured by this evil presence that's in the town, and Alan is forced to write a story. And you understand why he's writing a story as the game progresses, but basically he sets out to save his wife from this dark evil presence. And you meet a lot of eccentric characters along the way. Again, kind of along the lines of Twin Peaks, where all of the townspeople, they all seem like innocent townspeople, but as you start digging back, peeling back layers like an onion, you realize that everybody sort of has their own secrets and their own tragedies and things like that. So the storyline I really found to be very enjoyable all the way through to the end. I cannot wait for the next game to see where's Alan now? What's going on with the story now? The gameplay, sort of your typical survival horror gameplay where you have to manage your resources, and I really like that in these games where you have limited ammo and you really have to think about each bullet. It's not as bad as Silent Hill in a lot of ways, and in most places I never really ran out of ammo in Alan Wake. Only a couple places that I do that. But you still have to kind of manage, you really have to manage your flares and your flash grenades. Those two things are lifesavers, and if you just use them willy-nilly, you're going to have a bad time. But the gameplay, it really kind of balances between two things. You're going around through these dark, mysterious places, and all of a sudden these enemies start attacking you called the Taken. And what they are people that the Dark Presence has kind of controlled. Although the game really doesn't go into whether they're actually real people or if it's just like a figment of imagination. So that's a mystery for you. But anyway, so Alan's got a flashlight and a gun. So what you have to do is you have to point your flashlight at an enemy to weaken the darkness around them. And as soon as you get all the darkness off of them, you can start popping them with your gun. The trick is, focusing your flashlight burns the batteries really quick. And you have to sort of manage batteries as well. So you have a lot of things you have to manage in this game. You have to manage batteries, you have to manage ammo, you have to manage like grenades and flash bombs and things like that. A lot of stuff to manage, but you get a hang of it and a swing for it, and you're really able to, once you get the hang of the gameplay, you're really able to sort of deal with these creatures effectively. One thing I really thought was really funny was when you start off the game, you start off this dinky little flashlight, and I was like, man, if I was him, I would get one of those huge, like, lantern flashlights that, and as you move through the game, you find better flashlights, and eventually you do get one of those huge lantern flashlights. So I thought that was pretty funny that I was like, man, if I was him, I would have one of those on me at all time. But other than that, you also have to collect coffee thermoses. That's kind of an in-game thing, but it's also a reference again to Twin Peaks, where they always talk about coffee. And you also have to collect manuscript pages. And some of these manuscript pages you can only collect in the Nightmare difficulty. Now, I only played the game on normal because it was my first time through. I do plan on going back and playing Nightmare sometime. I don't know if you collect all the pages, you get like different storyline stuff or that. But the pages are supposedly this new book that Alan Wake has written, but he hasn't even started it yet. So you see, the town is already starting to mess with him a little bit. But, from a gameplay standpoint, it does get a little repetitive towards the end. I will give you guys that. A lot of people have said the game gets really repetitive. And, in dealing with all of the Taken and things like that, when it starts off, you're terrified of these guys chasing you, but by the end of it, it's just business as usual, which happens in every survival horror game when you really think about it. And really, when you think about it, when you're playing any game, when I'm playing an RPG, when I'm playing a shooting game or anything like that, when I get to the end, I want to power through it and get to the end and see the finale. And I think that really brings up a lot of sort of frustration with the game, because you're like, come on, can we just end this already? I want to see how it ends. I even got that with Xenoblade. When I was playing that, I was like, come on, man. Really? Do I have to go through this a couple more hours? Just get me to the end. So I understand why people say it's repetitive and got frustrated towards the end. I really didn't get frustrated with it until I got to the special missions, which are just ridiculous. And I died more playing those downloadable content stages than I did the entire game. So if that tells you anything, it's kind of relentless when you get to those final two stages. But I understand people's critique of it. But also at the same time, I was having such a great time with the storyline, I was able to overlook it because I want to get to that next plot point and see what's happening in the storyline. The music. The music is absolutely fantastic. Just the normal orchestrated score, again, sounds very reminiscent of the Twin Peaks score and other, it doesn't sound like Silent Hill, but it sounds more like the Twin Peaks score than anything. When they do use real music, and when I mean by real music, I mean like, by bands. Like, they have songs by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. They have a great song by Poe. I've never heard of Poe before, but Haunted by Poe. It might just be my favorite song on the soundtrack. They use Roy Orbison's In Dreams, which if you watch Blue Velvet, it's a David Lynch reference when they use that song. And when you watch Blue Velvet, it's used in a very sort of disturbing scene. But, yeah, just a great soundtrack. I really enjoyed the part of the game where you're at the old Rockers farm, and you have to defend the stage while all this rock music is happening in the background, and the stage is all lighting up and fireworks is going off. It was really an impressive from a gameplay standpoint, but also impressive from a sound standpoint that I never really noticed like any sound dropping out. Which in a lot of games you notice that, like eventually, like, the explosions will have to drop out for other things, and you won't hear as much. But it was just like a cacophony of sound going on there. So I was really impressed with the sound design of the game. That being said, also, when you have people like stalking you in houses and things like that, really great sound design. Really enjoyed, you know something's just lurking around that corner, and you're like, oh fuck, so you steel your nerves around the left trigger for your flashlight and get ready to pop off some rounds from your revolver or whatever you're equipped with. But yeah, man, it's for a while it's very white knuckle style gameplay, and then eventually you get to the point where you know how to deal with these taken, and it's just kind of business as usual. But but yeah, the music and the sound design are just fantastic, and what can you say? I mean, it's scary. You play that game in the dark, you'll be a little scared. The graphics are sort of the only thing I really didn't enjoy about the game, because I feel like the Havoc engine, I don't know, it just makes everything look very shiny. Or like anything that has that engine, it seems like it just seems very shiny, and whenever a light source is on it, you can't really make out the detail. The character models were a bit stiff. Of course, the voice acting and the lip syncing didn't really match up. But you know, I'm able to look past those things. I mean, it's just graphics. I did notice some screen tearing every now and then. Didn't really notice any slowdown unless the game like did it itself. You know what I mean? Like when they're attacking you and things like that. But yeah, I would, it's out there for cheap. I would definitely recommend you guys pick up Alan Wake and give it a shot, because if you like survival horror, you'll like this game. I really enjoy just the weirdness of Bright Falls. It's one of my favorite things, is sort of a town gone wrong. Silent Hill, Twin Peaks, things like that. Just love that sort of, not genre, but that story device. And if you have played this and you do love it, I do recommend going out and getting the gold box of Twin Peaks, so you can watch where a lot of the references in this game come from. You'll watch this show and you'll see things, you'll be like, I remember that, and that's the way it was with me with Alan Wake. I was like, hey, wait a minute, I know what they're doing here. So, but yeah, I cannot wait for a sequel, and if Remedy doesn't make a sequel, I'm going to be very upset. I don't know when I'll get to American Nightmare, because I'm kind of done with this for now, you know what I mean? Like, I still really love the game, but I want to move on to something else. And I don't know what that is quite yet, but when I do it, you guys will be sure to, I'll be sure to tell you guys, and have a game discussion for that as well. But anyway, guys, Alan Wake. I loved my time with it, and I thought it was fantastic. So I understand where people might have problems with it, but for me, it's A+. So that's all for me right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time.